For most of us, Halloween is all about costumes and candy. It's a night for fun scares and laughing with friends in the dark. But the oldest traditions of Halloween come from a real fear of what might be hiding in the shadows. Sometimes the scary stories people whisper aren't just stories. They're warnings. Because sometimes the monster is human, and the horror is all too real. Tonight, we have two stories that blur the line between urban legend and horrifying truth. Tales of a chilling calling card left on the most frightening night of the year. Story 1. The White Doll. The legend of the White Doll Snatcher is one of those stories that feels like it's been around forever, passed down in hushed tones from one generation to the next. It has all the signs of a classic urban legend, but the details make it feel terrifyingly real. My research found no credible news archives or true crime databases that could verify this as a documented case as of September 2025. The legend goes that, in a small Ohio town during the autumn of 1985, something strange started happening. It began with something small, almost innocent. A few weeks before Halloween, kids started coming home with these little white dolls. They were crudely stitched, maybe from old dish rags or bed sheets, with smooth, blank faces. Their bodies were limp, filled with something that felt like sand or dry rice. At first, most parents didn't think much of it. A weird, but harmless Halloween prank? Maybe a quirky neighbor was leaving them on porches. But then the whispers started. The dolls weren't just appearing on porches. Children claimed a tall, thin figure was handing them out near playgrounds or wooded bus stops. The description was always hazy, blurred by the fading autumn light. A long coat, a wide-brimmed hat, a figure that was there one moment and gone the next. One version of the story is told through the eyes of a boy named Mark, whose 8-year-old sister, Sarah, came home with one of the dolls that Halloween. He remembered the arguments it caused. His sister clutched it like a treasure, but his mother, unsettled by the faceless thing, wanted it gone. His dad insisted it was just a silly toy, but Sarah was firm. A nice man gave it to her, she said. He told her it was a special gift. The arguments stopped on Halloween night. That year, the story says Sarah went trick-or-treating with her friends, her pillowcase in one hand, and the little white doll tucked into the pocket of her witch costume. The rule was simple: be home by 9. At 9:15, all her friends were home. But Sarah wasn't. What followed was every parent's worst nightmare. A frantic search began, turning the festive neighborhood into a place of cold, rising panic. Police flashlights cut through the darkness. They found Sarah's pillowcase near a park at the end of her street. It was half full of candy, but lying right on top was another white doll. This one was identical to the others, but with one chilling difference. Stitched onto its chest with thick black thread was the initial S. Fear gripped the community. The legend of a child snatcher was now being taken seriously. According to the tale, only one other family came forward to the police, saying their son had also received a doll from a shadowy figure. Consumed by a fear they couldn't ignore, they packed up and moved away within a week, convinced the doll was a mark, a terrifying calling card for an abduction that hadn't happened yet. In the legend, Sarah Miller was never seen again. Her story became a local ghost story, a tale told to scare kids into coming home before dark. But it serves as a devastating example of a monster who might use a child's toy as a weapon, turning a symbol of innocence into a harbinger of horror. Story 2. The babysitter's refrigerator. Some urban legends are so widespread, they become part of our collective nightmares. The story of the babysitter getting a scary phone call is one of them, a tale that has inspired countless horror movies and campfire stories. It's so effective because it taps into one of our deepest fears, the violation of the one place we should feel safest, our home. While the classic legend is about a phone call, this story takes a different, grislier turn. It has roots in real events from Lawton, Oklahoma, not Detroit as is sometimes told. In April of 1976, 3-year-old twin sisters Mary and Tina Carpenter were lured from their home. A year and a half later, on Halloween night 1977, 19-month-old Nema Carter was abducted from her crib. Both cases were linked to a teenage babysitter named Jacqueline Rubidoux. Witnesses pieced together a horrifying timeline for the twins. Jacqueline had lured them from their home with a promise of candy. She walked them to a derelict house near a set of railroad tracks, a place the local kids avoided. The house was cold and empty, except for a single unplugged refrigerator in the kitchen. What happened next is a chilling look at manipulation. The story goes that Jacqueline told the twins they were playing a magic game. She told them they had to hide before their aunt arrived with candy. She forced one of the twins, Mary, into the old refrigerator, the heavy door sealing her in darkness. She then did the same to her sister, Tina. Out of fear, the little girls did as they were told. But there was no game. No aunt, no candy. Jacqueline just walked out, leaving the girls locked in their cold, dark prisons. Hours later, by a stroke of unbelievable luck, a group of teenagers daring each other to go into the haunted house heard a faint scratching. They found Tina weak but alive. She had survived by breathing through a small, rusted hole in the back of the refrigerator. For her sister, Mary, there was no miracle. The refrigerator she was in was airtight, and she had succumbed to asphyxiation. Over a year later, the body of Nema Carter was also found in an abandoned refrigerator just a few blocks from her home. Jacqueline Rubidoux was eventually arrested and, in 1979, was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Mary Carpenter. She was a suspect in Nema's death but refused to talk about it, and she died in prison in 2005. The story serves as a disturbing reminder that the most terrifying legends are the ones that closely mirror reality. The monster isn't always a ghost. Sometimes, it's a teenage babysitter with a friendly smile, and the horror is the inexplicable darkness hiding in the human heart. The line between a true story and a legend often gets blurry with time and fear. But both are there to remind us that on Halloween, and every other night, the world can be a dangerous place. The scariest monsters are the ones who walk among us. Stay safe out there. If you have a true scary story you'd like to share, you can send it to the email address in the description below. You never know, it might be featured in a future video.